well, I kind of thought I knew a lot then, and now looking back, I realized how little I knew. I kind of want that to be the same in a year's time. So I was a consumer of the fitness industry at the time. It was a very young industry. Anyone who's been in Thailand for a long time will know California Fitness.
California.
Yeah, that was where I used to train. So they were kind of pioneers, if you will, in the big box fitness space. I was looking at what was going on in the industry here, and I didn't see particularly high standards, but I did see an opportunity. I saw there were expats that wanted to consume this kind of fitness, that had a need, had a demand for it. I knew there were some personal trainers that were doing very well, including my ex-boss, Richard from the lab. And so I thought there was an opportunity in this industry. I thought I would enjoy it. I thought I could be passionate about it. I was absolutely right. There was a massive opportunity. I didn't quite know then just how big the opportunity was. I think like 9 years later, I can see that the opportunity was even bigger than I thought. But really, I was just happy to be doing something that I wanted to do and something that I thought I would enjoy. So I went back to the UK, did all my personal training qualifications, and then came back to work for a small studio called Total Body Training. Had some incredible experience there with some great trainers. After a year, we opened a new studio called The Lab, and that was pretty much the first boutique fitness training offering in Bangkok. I was there for 5 years. It was a great 5 years. I worked my way through that company from coach to fitness manager to managing director. The lab is still going strong today. I'm good friends with the guys there, including Richard, who gave me my first opportunity in the industry. But around 4 years ago, I decided that I wanted to set up my own thing. I had a dream of kind of building my own brand, building my own concepts, and the idea of doing that kind of turned me on. So I resigned from the lab about 4 years ago and started working full-time on base. So yeah, as I said, I saw an opportunity in the fitness industry, but I didn't realize just how big that opportunity was. Now I see an absolutely massive opportunity in fitness and wellness, not just in Thailand, but certainly in the rest of Asia as well. So we're looking to ride that wave for the next few years and have our eye on international expansion.
Exciting. And let's dive into a little bit about the beginning of Base and how you gathered your team that you now work with. How was the beginning of like bringing up this company all together? How was it?
Yeah, so a few people that I knew already were in, and they were ready to join the team at Base. So that was a small team of 3. Then I started talking to some other coaches who I just kind of knew, or friends of friends. And at first they were fairly wary about taking a chance on a new business, which is understandable. Like some of them had their own freelance client base, or some of them worked at another gym, and they were kind of quite settled there. So it was kind of on us to sell the dream of Base, what we were planning on doing. So we had a few people that kind of bought into the dream early and jumped in, and that gave us our initial team of about 5 or 6 people. So it was kind of tough to recruit at first. As the business has developed and as we've become more reputable, as more people know about Base, as they can kind of see what we've done and the opportunities afforded to our trainers, it's become much easier to recruit. So now we get to learn our clients' names, we get to know if they have any injuries, we get to basically offer them a level of service which is just impossible to offer in the big box space. Now, a lot of people would look at, say, Virgin Active or Jets and kind of see that as a competitor to Base, but I think the two actually coexist very well together. You know, we have, all of our locations have big box gyms nearby. You know, in Sattern we have Jets nearby, we have Virgin Active, Fitness First is open across the road as well. But I absolutely do not see those as competition. They're in a different part of the market. And I think we can actually complement each other if we're side by side. If you look at our Amarin Plaza location, we have Anytime Fitness downstairs. Now we're at opposite ends of the market. So many of our clients and some of our coaches would have a membership there where they can go and just use the treadmill. They can do their own weight training. What they get at Base is a more specialist premium service.
And Base was only open for 2 years before it was voted Asia's Gym of the Year in 2018. So what an accomplishment. Could you tell us a bit about that story and how you achieved that?
Yeah, so you had to submit an application. So we had to submit like our company profile and tell them about our operating procedures at Base, our concept, why we were different. And so that was along with many other gyms around Asia. It was, I think, 40% public vote and 60% was judges from around Asia, which is great because I think it gives it a little bit more credibility when it's people that are actually in the industry. So we got shortlisted for the main award, Best Gym of the Year. We got an invite to go to Jakarta for that. So I went along to Jakarta. Wasn't sure if it was kind of maybe a PR exercise for another gym to win, or if there was anything going on, maybe some corruption in the background. So didn't really know what to expect. Didn't know any of the judges, so knew that we wouldn't carry any favors there. But yeah, obviously it wasn't corrupt, and they did a very good job because they had a look at all the applicants. They obviously were impressed by the strength of Base and what we've done. I think something that really helped us to win the judges over would have been our online presence. So, we invested a lot into marketing, we invested a lot into branding. So, I can only assume the judges would have looked at us online and seen that we represented ourselves very strongly, very well, that we were legitimate. Perhaps they asked other people in the industry. And so I guess somewhat unexpectedly we took that home. We were up against big gyms from around the region. Fitness First were one of them. It's obviously an absolute giant in fitness worldwide. So yeah, really proud to take it home, of course, for the team and everyone at Base. I think it's a sign of the hard work that we put in the first few years. But also it's really great to do it for Thailand's fitness industry. I came into the industry 9 years ago, seeing opportunity, wanting to build the fitness industry up. So to kind of put Thailand on the international stage for that was definitely a proud moment for me as well.
And Base went from having 1 location to 3 within 2 years. So you expand quite quickly. Could you explain a little bit about how you managed that?
With difficulty, I guess, yeah. As you expand, things get harder. Holes appear where they weren't before. So it's definitely been a big learning experience for me. When I had my clothing export business, it was just me, my business partner in the UK, and I had one person helping out here. So I didn't really get to see or experience some of the struggles with growth. So we had a difficult first 6 months at Base. I think our marketing wasn't really on point. It was hard to get people through the door. We're although we have a very good location, we're a little bit tucked away. We get no passing trade. And so through my lack of experience in marketing, it took a little bit of time to get traction. And since then, we've learned a lot, and we do all of our marketing in-house, but that was something that we kind of struggled with. So the landlord for our second location approached us after we'd been open for about 3 months.
Wow.
He said, I love what Base is doing. He knew one of my business partners. I'd love you to be involved in our new location, but we couldn't really do it financially. We didn't really have the numbers in the first branch. But luckily, that project got pushed out a little bit. And so by the time it came to the 1st January, which is always a big time for gyms, that was about 5 months after we opened, we'd started to get a bit more of a grip on our marketing. We'd started to bring more people through the door. We had more referrals, busier classes. We had a real big January. And I think it was February or March that they came back to us and said, okay, our project's been delayed, but we're ready to go now. Would you like to open up in Saturn? And I think it's always great if you have a true partnership with your landlord. If they really want you in there, it's a much stronger partnership. It helps it in times like COVID, to kind of get help from your landlord. So it's a big, big deal. So we really wanted to do it, but to be absolutely honest, we weren't 100% ready. But it was such a good opportunity. It was with a partner that we really liked, we really respected, and we knew it would be a true partnership, not like a landlord and his tenant just taking the money every month. So we kind of decided to take a bit of a risk and go for it a little bit ahead of when we were ready. We went through the same thing that we went through in the first branch, so the first 6 months were tough. As I said, holes kind of pop up here and there procedurally in terms of operations, in terms of recruitment for front desk staff. So we were kind of catching up a little bit for the first 6 months. And then just like the first branch, it really started to pick up. And we had 2 successful, profitable gyms. We were in a good spot. We didn't actually plan the 3rd location. It kind of fell in our lap. I saw an old friend. He works for an estate agent. He linked me up with one of his guys. They showed us a unit at Amarin Plaza. And as soon as I walked in, I was like, boom, we've got to do it. Amarin Plaza is quite like an old mall, so I wasn't really sure if it would fit the vibe of Base. But as soon as I saw the unit, it's kind of tucked in the back, high ceilings, open space, the right size, ticks all the boxes for us. I was like, right, we need to do this. And we felt a lot more ready. We were more ready financially as a company. We'd had 2 branches running for about a year and a half successfully. So we just felt more ready to do it. It's gone well. But as you go from 2 to 3 branches, holes, again, do start to pop up here and there. So the mindset that we've had for the last, 18 months, I guess, since we opened the 3rd location, is to try and get ahead of ourselves. It felt like for the first 3 locations, we were catching up. A hole would pop up and we'd fill it up, and then it'd pop up somewhere else and we'd fill that one up. So we're trying to get ahead of ourselves by having this mindset of, how can we have a company now that would run if there were 10 branches, if there were 15 branches. So we've been working a lot on our standard operating procedures, on our training, on our concepts, on our technology, which we'll come to try and get a couple of steps ahead rather than a couple of steps behind. Or another way to look at it, if we open in Singapore, which is part of our plans, part of our future expansion plans, we want to set procedures up now so we're ready to open up in Singapore. So that's kind of been the mindset for the last 18 months, and although we haven't expanded beyond 3, Now we're running 3 smoothly. We know what to expect more, and like day-to-day operations are much, much easier. So I'd really encourage anyone, even if they're not looking to expand, actually try and build the business that you could expand if you wanted to. Because if you don't, you're going to have a much more efficient company. And you've also got a company that you might be able to sell because the operations are so much smoother. Or you can actually go on holiday for a week or a month. It doesn't just go down the drain while you're away. So I think it's something that I would change if I went back, would try and to always be a couple of steps ahead rather than kind of catching up for this first few years.
Right. And my next question is, how does such a young business land a partnership with Adidas?
I'll tell you the story briefly. So my business partner was part of a retail chain called Ari. So they had football stores throughout the country and running stores as well. So he had the initial partnership with Adidas. I knew he would be a good partner to bring on. He's a good friend of mine. So it was good to bring him into the shareholding team. He made the introduction to the Adidas team here in Thailand. So then it was kind of mainly on me to go and sell the vision, the dream of Base. So at that stage, we'd already had the branding done. We had the website up. The unit was empty, but we had computer-generated images. We had CGI of how the location would look. We knew what our concept was. We kind of knew who our target market was. So we basically had to go into the Adidas HQ, pitch to the team and kind of sell them on the dream of what we were doing. They bought into it, I think, through the strength of our presentation. I already had experience in the fitness industry, so I think that helped to strengthen the pitch and also the relationship that they had with my business partner as well. So when they took all those things on board, they thought, okay, it's worth taking a punt on these guys, it's worth risking our brand on Base. And so that's something that we had to really make sure that they were willing to do. They were essentially taking a risk on us, so we had to make sure that they felt that was a risk worth taking. So fortunately they bought into it. We had an 18-month agreement that we've extended out until the present day, and we have a strong partnership to this day.
And how did this early partnership with Adidas influence your in-house marketing at the beginning?
At the beginning, it didn't really influence our in-house marketing. Looking back now, I know exactly what we needed to do at the beginning of Base, right? We had to have the right sales process in branch, which we didn't have. We needed to be doing the right targeted ads online with the right funnels, landing pages and everything else. And we just weren't really doing any of that. So that was more the area that we should have focused on early in the business that we didn't. In terms of Adidas, it's more just that stamp of approval from a huge household brand that's known worldwide. So in terms of marketing, I would say it didn't really do much. In terms of branding, what it did for that Base brand, I would say it was huge. If you move to a city and you do a bit of research online and you see one of them is partnered with Adidas, it just kind of gives it that instant credibility. Over the years, we've done some huge events with Adidas. We did one for International Women's Day a few years ago in one of the parks near Onna, and it was awesome. They invited all their influencers and celebrities and everybody else. We invited our clients. It was 120 women in the park, and it was an Adidas Base co-branded event, and that was just huge. And there was awesome photos. Videographer came and did his thing, and to partner with Adidas on an event like that as a co-branded partner, Adidas and Base, is just massive. You can't really put a price on that kind of partnership.
Definitely. And just to touch on the points on branding a little bit, what are some of the defining elements that you wanted Base to be known for in Asia and also globally?
I think to answer that question, you have to look at our mindset when we first went into the project. So Bangkok's fitness industry was getting busier. There were already a few players in the market. There were people doing some good things. When we started the lab, we were pretty much the only circuit training workout. So that was enough to kind of stand out and to be different. By the time I got into the market, we needed something a little bit more. The standards had already been raised somewhat by the many offerings in Bangkok. So our mindset going into this project was to build a gym that would stand out even in the top fitness markets in the world. So whether it be put in New York or London or Sydney, we wanted to build a gym that would still be great there. And that was kind of the mindset we went into with each decision that we made. So we wanted the bathrooms to be slicker and nicer than anything that was offered. We wanted to give a workout towel and a shower towel because that was not really being done. We wanted to have a concept that was different. We wanted to introduce technology, to make sure that we were kind of leading the way there, and we had something that could also be successful in the busier markets as well. So when you have a mindset like that, it kind of becomes one of your values. It kind of becomes one of the things that you look to and refer to when you make decisions on the business, such as the concept of what you're doing, and that ultimately kind of becomes the brand, to be that leading gym. And so we felt if we benchmarked ourselves against the world's top gyms and kind of had that mindset, then we would certainly be one of the leading operators in Asia. And I think that mindset went a long way to building the base brand and then also winning Asia's Gym of the Year, of course, as well.
And you mentioned previously about the power of networking and how important it is. Do you have any tips for those looking to find meaningful connections in the fitness industry?
Yeah, I would say don't just go play a numbers game. So, don't just go on LinkedIn and just add 1,000 people and think that now you've got a fantastic network of people. I would say meaningful connections with the right people are a lot more valuable than just numbers. You can have 5,000 connections on LinkedIn, but if you actually reach out to them and ask for some help, are they going to give it or not? So I'd say focus on meaningful connections with people who are maybe in the same city as you, but a different part of the fitness industry, perhaps. If you have a HIIT studio like us, you can reach out to other yoga studios, just kind of establish a relationship, and have someone that you can kind of knows what you're going through. Like one thing I did when I left the lab was to reach out to other studios in Bangkok, one of which was Physique 57, which is in the fitness space. Some might consider it a competitor, but I see it as being very different. It's like a bar workout, which is more kind of like a dance-inspired workout. And to this day, we meet up pretty much every month, share war stories and tips and stuff like that. And it's really so valuable. And we really do just share everything. I think that's another great tip for networking. Don't be cagey, don't hold anything back. When you establish a relationship with someone, even if you think they might kind of be competitors in some way, just be as open as possible. They will really appreciate it. And if they're not, maybe that's just not a connection that's really worth having. If they're really very close and they don't want to know, I'd be lying if I said everyone was really open to these kind of relationships. But many, many people have been in Bangkok and then also abroad as well. I started going to kind of events, kind of a little bit like this one, around Asia, and just trying to have conversations with people. And then I know we're going to come on to it, but the podcast has been an amazing networking tool as well, because I'm reaching out to people, asking for an interview, getting to chat to them, getting them to know them well, also helping them promote themselves and their business and their brand. So that really solidifies that connection. So through a few of those interviews, if we go into Singapore, I've got some fantastic contacts. Some of them are looking to expand into Bangkok, and I'll be helping them with that as well. So in summary, focus on less higher quality relationships than just a million business cards to everyone you meet.
Right. And just to elaborate a little bit more about your podcast, Fitness Business Asia, what's the concept and who have been some of your favorite guests and topics?
So the concept, rather than concept, the mission of the podcast is to raise the standards of the fitness industry in Asia. That was the original goal. We have ambitious plans at Base, so we believe if we can build the fitness industry up, then we've got some great personal connections, and also it will help Base to go into less mature markets and hopefully become more mature. We also had some staff that asked to learn more about the business side. So rather than kind of get them down and go through spreadsheets and things like that, I thought it'd be easier to just put all my thoughts on a podcast. They can listen if they want to learn more about marketing, or they want to learn more about branding or recruitment or management or anything else, and they can just pull me aside for a coffee. So it kind of ticks that box as well. So it's been awesome. I've met some incredible people. If you reach out to someone and say, hey, can we meet up for a chat? They might, I'm kind of busy at the moment, or it's not possible. But if you actually reach out to them and say, hey, I'd really love to interview you for a podcast, we're going to put it out to our audience, it's a chance to, reach more people and to put your brand and your name out there. People are generally more inclined to do it. So early on, we had some fantastic guests before we kind of established ourselves as a podcast. Now we're over 100 episodes in. We're in the top 10 entrepreneurial podcasts for most of Asia's leading fitness markets like Thailand, Singapore, Hong Kong. So we have quite a wide listenership now. So that's enabled us to contact more high-profile guests and speak to them. Another advantage is I get to just sit down and ask them anything I want. So it has selfish benefits as well. I can ask them anything I want about the business. They're generally happy to go pretty deep. Who are my favorite guests? I would say anyone who's willing to be open. I think the best interviewees will just be very open. They see the benefit of sharing what they've learned to build the industry up. They see the benefit of that. If they're closed and don't want to kind of reveal trade secrets, they typically don't make good guests. I've had many, many guests that have been very happy to just talk openly and honestly about everything that they do. Peter Thew of Yoga Movements, he has 6 yoga studios in Singapore. They're looking at international expansion. Rich Hudson, he works for Evolution Wellness, which is pretty much the biggest fitness company in Southeast Asia. They own Fitness First, Celebrity Fitness, G Fitness, and a few others. He was very, very open about his sales process and everything they do in G Fitness. He was at the time he was CEO of that company. Linda Tang, we've done a collaboration with her company WeBar in Bangkok. They're a bar studio in Singapore. They might let us come to Bangkok at some point. Again, just very, very open with everything that she's learned, everything they do internally, how they recruit the best coaches, everything they do on the marketing side, everything they do with sales. Just not one part of these great guests was like, oh, I shouldn't really talk about this. Maybe I'll be giving secrets to the competition. Just very happy to share. Very happy to talk about it. So yeah, those are the kind of people I like interviewing. And I'll try and do the same, right?
Yes,
Ask
definitely,
me anything and I'll tell you the honest answer.
And you've talked also about how underestimated the business side of the fitness industry is. Can you elaborate more on this, and anything you wish aspiring entrepreneurs in the fitness industry know before jumping in?
Yeah, I guess it's something that happens in every industry, but I just think it maybe happens in the fitness industry a little bit more. I think a lot of coaches that have busy classes or have a full personal training schedule might be in the best possible place for them, which is doing what they love, coaching, helping people get fitter and stronger every day, learning more about their particular area of fitness, whether that's strength training or pre and postnatal training or nutrition or whatever it is. And they might be in the best possible place. But what often happens is they feel, okay, I want to set up my own business. Perhaps it's their friends, or you're more than this, you should be doing more. And so, okay, I'm going to set up my own studio or my own business. That could be great. Obviously it worked out well for me. So I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but just be very aware that you probably won't be coaching much anymore. You need a completely different set of skills to be running a business. And really, if it's doing well, a year down the line, 18 months down the line, you're not going to be coaching at all. You're going to be doing completely different things. So you need to think, can you market a gym? The answer with me at the beginning was no. I had to learn how to do that. Can you recruit? Can you manage people? Can you inspire people? Can you lead people? And often people make the jump for the wrong reasons and then underestimate what the business side actually means and think just because they're a great coach, they've got busy classes or a full personal training schedule, they're automatically going to have this incredible studio, and often it just doesn't work out that way. And the saddest thing about that is that 18 months down the line you're actually hating what you loved before. So if anyone considers all of that and still thinks they absolutely want to do it and they know what it entails and what they're going to need to do, all power to you, go for it. But don't underestimate what it means to start your own business. It's not an easy thing to do. So I think that's just something that happens commonly in the industry, and it's always sad when a business fails. That's someone's dreams.
And could you talk about your thoughts on the importance of always developing your business? For example, baseline, the implementation of tech, and maybe some other areas.
Yeah, so I think if you have ambitions to expand like we've had, then you have to have this mindset of always improving. I think it was a realization that I had perhaps 12 months into the journey, that I just learned so much in those first 12 months. And then I kind of look back to before we set up Base, and I think you'd probably say I was a little bit cocky, a little bit arrogant, felt like I was the best person to be doing this. I've already run a team, I've already run a gym. I didn't know how to really set up a gym or start a brand or doing so many of the things that I'd learned in that first 12 months. I just kind of had that realization. I think then we were just working on our second studio. It's like, wow, I kind of thought I knew a lot then, and now looking back, I realized how little I knew. I kind of want that to be the same in a year's time. We're just opening our second location. Really in a year's time, I need to look back and say, damn, Jack then didn't really know how to run 2 locations, but now he does, right? He's learned a lot along the way. And so now it's kind of this mindset that, okay, we have 3 locations now. I personally feel quite comfortable running this company with 3 locations. But, am I the person right now to be running, let's say if Base was a franchise and we had franchisees around Asia. Right now, today, I'm not that person. So I need to make sure that I'm constantly learning, constantly growing, constantly developing, so that I will be that person later down the line. And hey, you never know, if Base is like 50 locations or 100 locations, there's a possibility that I might not be that person then. Maybe we have to bring in like an expert who can really take us to that next, huge stage perhaps. So I think on a personal level, that's how I would answer that. Conceptually, you want to always be innovating, you want to be pushing yourself forwards. If you looked at before we started our baseline technology, I'd say that we were one of the leaders in Bangkok, in our space certainly. But again, we wanted to make sure that we had a concept that was so strong it could go into New York or Sydney or London, or more locally it would be, say, Hong Kong or Singapore. And so for us, developing baseline technology, we felt gave us a true USP, gave us truly something that was very different, very special, that would enable us to go into more developed markets. We had a strong brand, we had a strong concept, but it just felt like we needed that little bit more. And so now that we've started baseline, that's a constant journey. There's so many different directions that Baseline can go in. It's really exciting. We're getting a lot of feedback from clients, the kind of features that they would like to see. They kind of realize now that this is just going to be an ever expanding thing. As base expands, Baseline can sort of rise up with it.
Right. And just a few more questions until we jump into the second part of the event.
Sure.
What are your predictions for the future of the fitness industry?
I think if you asked me 6 months ago, it would be a little bit different.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of talk in the fitness industry about online fitness. There was a lot of talk like during the midst of worldwide lockdown, like will people go back to gyms? Will they just stay at home? Have they realized now that they don't need a gym and they can just do burpees in front of the TV? I think now that gyms have opened again, it's shown categorically around the world that people do want to go back into their gym space. So my prediction is that online fitness is here to stay, but it kind of coexists alongside in-person, boutique fitness in our particular space. So I would say to gyms who are looking at investing big into online fitness, maybe just put the brakes on a little bit and just see how the next sort of 6 to 12 months pans out. That being said, I think online fitness, like I said, is here to stay. I think people will continue to use it. I think people have realized now they can get a decent workout at home, but I don't think it's like the new fitness and gyms. Gyms are dead, which is literally what some people were saying. Like, is this the end of gyms? Will people just train at home now? You'll see concepts come and go. You're always going to get new fads that sort of pop up, typically last a few years and then disappear. We've worked hard to build something at Base which has more longevity. The kind of movements that we do, running, squats, spiking, doesn't really go anywhere. It will always be done. Whereas some of the more unique styles of training perhaps might come and go a little bit more. What else? I think in Asia there's massive, massive opportunities. I think if you look at some of the second tier cities in Asia, second tier cities in Thailand, I think the industry will continue to grow there. If you look at the penetration rate in Thailand, 1% of Thais have a gym membership. Now that is the whole country, so it includes the countryside and stuff like that, but it's still very, very low compared to the US, which is about 25%. Singapore's around 7%. So I think that shows us a huge opportunity as Asia becomes richer, as the economies improve. There'll be massive opportunities in pretty much every part of the fitness industry. So I'm extremely bullish on the fitness industry in Asia. And as I said before, we just want Base to be kind of riding that wave. We want to put Base and Baseline into the hands of as many people as possible. So my prediction is big things for Asia's fitness industry.
And I have to ask, what's your plan for Base? Maybe in the next 5 years, what do you have planned?
Next 5 years? Again, it would have been maybe a little bit different. It wouldn't have been much different 6 months ago. The plans are still there, but I guess it's just a bit of a wait and see approach. For about a year now, we've been looking very closely at Singapore. The reason we chose Singapore to look at closely is because it's the most developed fitness market in Asia, without a doubt. Hong Kong is kind of up there as well, but for numerous reasons, I prefer Singapore. I have more friends there through the podcast. But a bit more familiar with the landscape there in terms of fitness and just in terms of getting around as well. I think it's very business friendly there as well. So lots of reasons to go to Singapore. I think it excites me to put Base into a more developed fitness market. So, Bangkok's kind of a second tier city, I would say, in Asia. I really want to see how our concept, how our technology fares in like a very busy, very developed market. So some people are like, oh, Singapore's so saturated, there's so many gyms there, so many studios. That's a good thing. That's great, I think. Let's see how it compares to those. Let's bring something new to that market. There's a lot of gyms, that shows there's a huge market for it. There's 40 F45s in Singapore, which just shows the scope of the industry and the scope of the market there. So, we wanted to do that this year. That was the big goal. That was the big plan. We looked at a unit there 6 months ago. I'm extremely happy that we did not sign for that unit. That would have been a bad move for sure. So now it's just a case of just seeing how the dust settles on everything that's going on. We do absolutely still want to go there. Now it's looking very much more likely to be next year, I think. But, I can't go to Singapore now, so I can't look at a location or anything like that. There's also things to consider. I think we don't know how the world will look in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. So I think we'll sort of go into January, assess the situation, and then make some more definitive plans for next year. We want to further develop Baseline. As I said, there's huge potential to that concept, and people have given us the validation that it's something that they want, it's something they're excited about. So we will certainly develop that further. Perhaps 1 or 2 more in Bangkok. we'll see how things settle over the next few months with everything.
But Singapore will be the next market.
I think so. Yeah, it's not confirmed, but for the reasons that I stated, I think it's a good place to go next.
Definitely. Well, thank you for a very engaging first part of the interview, and we're just going to take a quick 10 minutes break, and during this time you can write your questions. So the second part of the event tonight will be asking your questions, so it'll be more engaging and you can ask anything. You may write your name or not, that's completely up to you. So a quick 10 minutes break, and you can also order drinks at the bar and we'll get back. Thank you.